Hi there. Before we get started, a quick word from our sponsor, Vox Mental Health. Vox means voice, and we believe something shifts when you're safe enough to find yours. Based in Barrie and serving all of Ontario, Vox Mental Health offers trauma-informed psychotherapy for individuals, couples, and families. Whether you're unpacking old narratives, navigating relationships, or working toward clarity and change, we're here to support your growth, your agency, and your voice. Learn more at voxmentalhealth.com. Well, welcome to Awareness, fostering a more compassionate, empathetic, and accepting society. Yours truly, Rob Daniels, here from a brand new studio here today, which I really hope you like. If you're watching on YouTube, it is it's a gorgeous studio. So Awareness with Rob Daniels, and thank you so much for being here wherever you get your podcasts. Really appreciate that. So don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And I really thank you so much for being along here as we continue to break the stigma when it comes to mental health and breaking down barriers. We'll continue the conversation, open conversations about mental health and more here on this platform. So appreciate you being here. So I'd like to introduce you to my next guest here. This is episode number 23 of Awareness. And none other than Scott Mills. Thank you so much for being here, Scott. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for the invitation, Rob.
Yeah, we'll have a handshake there. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's all good. Scott Mills is here, and he's a former police officer. And I'd like to actually just quickly read to you exactly, just so I don't mess this up. Okay, just his exact titles. So. He is a retired Toronto and Peel Regional Police Officer, Scott Mills, and he's here to join the podcast to reflect on his 30 years of service, and we're going to be doing so through this open conversation. He'll share stories from the job, including the challenges, the proud moments, and the lessons learned along the way. It's going to be certainly a candid look at what it really means to protect and serve, and the lasting impact a policing career can have both on the community and on the officer behind the badge. So, let's get right into it today with Scott Mills. And first and foremost, I'd like to sort of open the floor to you, give you the floor to let the audience know what first inspired you to become a police officer and why you exactly chose to serve in both Toronto and Peel.
Well, I think anybody that wants to become a police officer generally does it because they want to help people. Mm-hmm. And that's a noble undertaking as far as I'm concerned. Right. My mother kept artwork when I was in kindergarten of saying, "I'm a policeman, this is my car." So wow. It's something I always wanted to do.
Yeah, ever since you were a kid, like we're talking, kindergarten, and then that became your calling.
It did. I initially wanted to be a Mountie with the RCMP, and I didn't fit the criteria for hiring at that time for them. So the only thing I could do to improve was to get a university degree and become bilingual. So that's what I worked on for the next 4 years. And right. I ended up meeting a recruiting officer at Carleton University during a blitz they were having for Peel Regional Police. Sergeant Lonnie Blackett was his name.
Shout out. There you
go. Great guy. Yeah. Ended up working on the street with him, actually. And I ended up getting hired fairly quickly with the Peel Regional Police that polices Mississauga and Brampton and the Pearson Airport. So I spent 12 years there, and I decided I was wanting a little bit more in my career, and ended up transferring to Toronto Police. And then I worked downtown in number 14 division, and if people don't know policing in Toronto, whatever, it's the most densely populated, most multicultural policing division there is in Canada.
I would imagine.
And it's quite busy, quite an eye-opener.
A lot of action, no dull days,
never
no
a dull moment. Exactly.
Right?
So that's basically the long answer to your short question there, Rob.
No, that's okay. And like I would imagine that was a big part of your decision to go to Toronto, is to just have that, like, every day's a different story kind of thing when you're working, that there is that never a dull moment. I mean, in policing in general, there must be not many dull moments, but especially in Toronto.
Well, a lot of Peel police officers, it's not really common to go to Toronto.
Okay.
If you're going to leave kind of a GTA type police service, you usually go to the OPP or something in a smaller kind of place. And it was a great move for me because I was able to see a whole different side of policing. And Toronto's a very large police service, so the opportunities there are endless. And I was fortunate to get a lot of opportunities.
Right.
And, ended up in a different working environment than in Peel, but still the same. There's a lot of great things about being a Peel Regional Police Officer too. Yeah,
for sure. Can you walk us through maybe a little bit about your first days on the job, if you can remember 30 years ago type of thing? What stands out, like when you look back, any like moments that were like, wow, this is something you're going to remember for a long time at the beginning of starting out?
I distinctly remember doing a high-risk takedown with my coach officer.
Okay.
Of some armed robbery suspects. They'd just done a bank robbery, and taking them down at gunpoint on here Ontario Street in Mississauga, and that was
like within your first week.
Though that was very quickly into it. Yeah. So you definitely open up your eyes pretty quickly as to how things can go from a quiet moment sitting in your police vehicle to, pointing a gun at suspects that you believe are armed and trying to arrest them in a high-risk takedown situation. So
that's wow. I can't imagine the adrenaline rush in your first little while with that happening. And that's what I kind of want to sort of crack the eggshell, so to speak, here. Like, instead of not just what makes the news in terms of stories in policing, but like what didn't in your career make the news that should have made the news, that you think wholeheartedly that we can bring into awareness today. That's sort of like also the purpose of this episode. So you've, over 30 years, you must have experienced these wide range of situations. So a particular moment that has stayed with you, either a proud achievement or a difficult call, can you recall one of those?
One that comes to mind is there was an escaped parolee walking down Dundas Street one Sunday morning when I started my day shift, and he was pushing a baby carriage.
Wow.
With a little baby in it, and he was kind of throwing the carriage all over the place, and just like, what is going on? I didn't know he was a parolee, and he was wanted at the time for breaching his parole, and that he'd been involved in quite a lot of high-end criminal activity. I was just concerned about this little baby.
Yeah, for sure.
And when I approached, he ran, put a knife to the baby's throat, said if I came any closer to him that he'd kill the baby. And that was a crazy moment for me. And he ended up running into a hotel and with the baby. And then I was by myself, so I called for backup, and it was quite a scary scene. Right. And we ended up, he came out of the hotel room with a knife to the baby's throat, and I don't even know how we did this, but 12 of us just jumped him. And we managed to pull the baby out unharmed and and take him into custody. But that was, didn't see that on the news. That was just a regular day type thing.
Just a regular day.
There's a lot of moments like that as a police officer that you go through. And you get quite introspective when you're not in the heat of the moment. You start thinking back of them, and it's like, wow,
Yeah.
what could have I done differently? And thank goodness that baby didn't die.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's just one that comes to mind as we're talking here, Rob.
And that needs to be brought into awareness, because I mean, you can't, get enough thank yous to you guys that serve and do what you do each day. And I can't even imagine that scenario. And you have to be so quick on your feet and thinking, and for all of you to just be, was there some sort of like a code that you guys had that you were all going to make that same move, charge from, or you just kind of know in those situations that's what you have to do? You've trained for those types of situations before?
Yeah, there's many officers with use of force options available.
Yeah.
We didn't have tasers at that time. We actually had 6-shot revolvers.
Wow.
So the chances of hitting a baby are pretty good.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to do that. And in my mind, what I remember is one of our senior constables on our shift. We just all kept kind of converging on him, and he just went for it, and then we all piled in. So it was just a free for all. There's no right answer when you're faced with a situation like that.
Absolutely. So how do you recover from something like that? You're, let's say, because you had 12-hour shifts, right? Most of the time?
So in Peel at that time, we had 3 different shifts. Day shift was 10, afternoon was 10, and nights were 7. And you actually did 7 nights in a row. That's tough.
Yeah,
the shift work, I'm not going to lie, that takes its toll on you. And as you get older, it takes more of a toll on you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so when you try and bounce back from a call like that, then let's say that happens in your first couple hours of your shift, that situation with the baby, how do you just sort of get back into it when you get is it mind over matter that you were concentrating on each and every day, or did you do some breathing exercises in between calls? How did you sort of recover from that in the moment when you have to get ready for another call?
Well, that's close to 30 years ago.
Yeah. So it's hard to,
generally a police officer is pretty much expected to be stoic and not respond to a lot of that. Right. The culture has shifted.
Yeah.
There's a lot more support. People talk a lot more about stuff like that. You debrief a lot more about that. But at the time, you just go on to the next call.
Mind over matter.
Yeah. And some of it becomes part of your dreams.
Yeah. And vivid, because it's hard to get over. I mean, you probably see these scenes vividly 30 years later.
Yeah,
and
the
it stays
smell
with you.
The smell is a big thing.
Yeah.
Like when you go into a situation where there's a deceased body and they've been there for a while, and that,
or even just being triggered, perhaps when you're retired and you end up on these same streets in Toronto, and you're just like, oh man, that situation happened on this corner in
that
Toronto,
happens all the time to me when I'm in Toronto or Peel,
and you're like, this happened here and that happened here.
Yeah, it all comes back to you when you get in the geographical location, and the smell is the biggest thing for me.
Right.
Like stupid things, like being at a scene where they're digging for dead bodies. And you smell the diesel of the generators because it's frozen ground and they're trying to thaw the ground, right?
Yeah.
Like things that you'd never expect come back to you, but smell is quite a trigger for emotions and memories to come back for a lot of people, not just police officers, but
So how did working exactly into different regions, Toronto and Peel, shape your perspective on policing and community needs?
Oh, that's a loaded question. It changes your life. It becomes your life. It becomes your working life.
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges is don't let it become your personal life as well. You need to keep friends, contact with friends outside of the policing world. You need to keep a balanced family work lifestyle, which is very difficult to do when you're going to work when everybody else is coming home. Especially you miss a lot of holidays, family time. Mm-hmm. So your perspective can get quite jaded.
Yeah.
If you let it.
Yeah.
My advice to anybody going into policing today is to look after yourself. Be proactive. Get yourself a therapist, even though you may not feel you need it. Mm-hmm. Proactively go out and find a good fit with a therapist that understands trauma protocols, because you are going to experience trauma.
Yeah.
And the earlier that you can
attack it,
try to deal with it and process it, the less it's going to kind of build up time after time.
Right.
And the more chance you're going to have of having a stable home work-life balance. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as you start going down the rabbit hole, it's a tough hole to get out of. And I have gone down the rabbit hole, so I'm quite vocal about looking after yourself. That's the first and foremost on my mind for anybody going into policing.
Can you share an example of a time when community connections made a big difference in your work?
Oh, community connections became huge for me. I developed a passion for working with youth, especially gang-involved youth, or youth that are at risk of becoming involved in a gang. So I'm still in touch with a lot of these kids who are now adults.
Right.
I did a lot of work with graffiti art, and BMX bikes. And it was a welcome break from the grind of what we were doing, the work that we were doing.
Yeah.
And it was refreshing, and it kept a balance on me that, kids are good.
Yeah.
Like, not all kids are bad, because we're dealing with a lot of the bad a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Right. So some of these murals that we did, and I was just a guy behind the scenes. I was a cop getting permission for them to do graffiti art.
Right.
Sometimes finding some funding to buy some spray paint for them, and cops just don't generally buy spray paint for kids.
I know.
So I chronicled it all in social media. I've got lots and lots of videos on YouTube.
Oh, for sure. Share. Where can the audience find that? Even
I think
myself,
the best is if you just go on YouTube and you do a search for legal graffiti art, Toronto Police, Scott Mills, anything like that. It'll come up to the videos. They're on about 7 or 8 different channels. But
nice.
A lot of those videos, they've got thousands and thousands of views, and that led to other kids that might be going down a wrong path, actually reaching out and engaging with the activities that we were providing. And that's amazing. Like
absolutely.
two of these guys, Bubs and Fade.
Those are their names?
They're paint names.
They're paint names. Okay.
They actually painted a graffiti art piece for my wedding.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's neat. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
They got up and they did a speech in front of all our guests.
Yeah.
And they had this all displayed. It was all a surprise to me. And they, not a dry eye in the house.
Yeah. So is there like some sort of is there graffiti art that you do out there that you can spot that's legal and some that's not legal? Like, how do you tell the difference there?
Well, it's hard to tell, because if the property owner gives you permission to do whatever, it doesn't matter what it looks like, right? But so if you see a great looking mural and it's popping and you say, wow, that's amazing.
Like, you want to take a picture in front of it type of thing?
Yeah. Like, a lot of what we were doing ended up becoming policy at the City of Toronto.
Okay.
And they call it the START program, street art program.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what we were doing without any policy or process involved was noticed, and people saw the value in it, and they incorporated opportunities to do a lot of this legal graffiti art.
Yeah.
And the BMX bikes, like the kids on the BMX, one of the kids that was always at our park ended up getting the world championship in BMX.
Wow.
So I'm still in touch with them.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just absolutely phenomenal, because we were able to reach a lot of kids as cops that we never would have reached before.
Right.
And the friendships that developed
over the years.
Over the years, and I didn't even realize I was mentoring a lot of times, but we were mentoring. And that, for me, brought a lot of balance into kind of the stuff that we were seeing and dealing, because I was involved in doing appeals through the Crime Stoppers program for, I tried to count it one day, it's over 50 homicides.
Wow.
And when you're dealing with families and you know, kind of face to face like we are now,
Yeah.
and like, you know, trying to find out what happened to their loved child,
Yeah.
a lot of times, it's hard.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. I mean, you're only human, so it's understandable if you crack once in a while. Like, I don't know how. Like, it's difficult to be like you. That word that comes to mind, stoic, like all the time on every case. So you're only human, and you're forgiven if anything. You know, if you did show emotion at times. What would you say are some of the toughest challenges, though, that you faced both on the job and personally while you were actually serving?
Toughest challenges was I hit rock bottom.
Okay.
Ended up getting apprehended. Ended up in a psych ward.
And that was just because mental health was derailing, or what?
Yeah, kind of the stress of the job, you know, the accumulation of the trauma, the work-life balance, kind of working too much. A lot of us as police officers have a tendency to be workaholics,
right?
And we don't have that balance. So yeah, I found myself basically in handcuffs and in a psych ward and locked up. And
how did you get out of that?
A lot of support.
Support, yeah.
A lot of support. And I don't know. I feel I want to share the whole story, but the biggest message that I want to share is that if you're a police officer and you find yourself in that situation, you've let it go too far.
Yeah.
Well, there's no going back.
Yeah.
And it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's you can fight out of it, and listen to the professionals and work hard at it. So for me, I just developed this mentality that I was useless now because that had happened to me. And despite going through intensive inpatient therapy and programs, which I was fortunate to have access to, I still felt the stigma that what are everybody going to think, because I'm not that strong cop anymore. I'm not that guy. I'm not the go-to guy anymore. And how are people going to receive me, and how am I going to move on with anything in my career? Like, I'm done. I got to tell you, in my experience, that was a myth. And I had so much support. And
that's good.
When I came back, people so glad to see me. And then as I grew kind of the end of my career, I was getting close to 30 years and potential to have a full pension, I developed a kind of a hip issue, and I had I couldn't run anymore. I was pretty much done, and I'm like, nobody's going to hire me like a kind of retirement job or anything like that. And sure enough, people were coming to me, offering me jobs.
That's amazing.
If I think you should retire. We want to use your skills and your expertise, mostly in social media and communications, because that's where I developed an expertise. Basically celebrating all the good stuff with the kids on YouTube and channels like that over the years. But I ended up being the social media officer in corporate communications for Toronto Police. So we pioneered social media in law enforcement. Yeah. So even ChatGPT says that today.
Look at that. Well, congrats on that. Yeah.
Pretty interesting. So, but my mindset, my personal mindset was that nobody's going to hire me. I'm a broken toy.
And I'm glad you were wrong about that, because
I have managed to land a job in the law enforcement profession,
which is wonderful.
As a retirement job.
Yeah.
And a lot of my experience comes in really handy every single day. Because we're in my role, I'm dealing with members of police services that are facing similar challenges to what I did, and I'm now in a space due to a lot of support, a lot of therapy, a lot of counseling that I can actually tell somebody my story. In fact, I did it yesterday. And they are locked up in a mental health institution at a hospital, can't get out, and they say, okay, you did it, you got out of that, I can do it too, and my career's not ruined. I said, no, your career's not ruined. No. Just stay positive, listen to what the professionals are telling you, and you can bounce back and you can live a productive life, and your career's not over. Right. So that'd be the biggest message. That's why when somebody like you reaches out and says, you want to join a podcast and talk about your journey? Yeah. Do I really want to talk about it in a public forum? I'm not going to give you all the details, but I'll give you enough to give somebody else who might be in that situation some hope that you can come out the other side and do well, thrive.
Yeah, that's good on you for doing that. The phrase "to protect and serve" is often used in policing. From your perspective, what does it truly mean?
Truly? Mm-hmm. Truly protect and serve?
Yeah. If you had to, I know.
Truly protect and serve is just every single day treating whoever you're meeting on the job with respect. And that could be the biggest criminal ever out there. It's the little things, your mannerisms, please, thank you, respect. Everybody deserves respect, regardless of who you're dealing with, and treat that person as you would treat yourself, and that's truly serving and protecting.
And you feel the role of a police officer in terms of the role of it, has it changed from when you first started to when you retired?
I think it changed, like times change, procedures, policy changes. But in the end, you're still doing the same job. You're out there trying to, like you said, truly serve and protect. I guess the biggest maybe change is video. Yeah. A lot of police officers, not everybody in the province, but most police officers and more every day are wearing body-worn cameras. So, and no matter what you do, if you get involved in an incident, there's a phone, there's a camera. You're basically in the spotlight. I think that's probably the biggest difference from when I started in 1990. Yeah,
and probably just dashboard cam everywhere. Like that's what I see. Like you guys ask for now in traffic incidents. You guys are just using that more for evidence.
The video evidence is just the volume of video evidence
enhanced over the years since from when you started to now.
Oh, 100%. Like you actually need video evidence facilities, and you need video evidence staff that's just focused on video evidence, because video's evidence is obviously very powerful and needs to be collected properly, analyzed properly, and done in a timely way. The public demands the investigations to be finished if you can finish them in a timely way, because they want to feel safe.
Yeah. So I imagine that's even a job you could have probably taken to, because of when you had the hip injury, that if that was an opening, you could have probably stepped into that if you had interest, I guess.
Yeah, I do know of one OPP detachment that actually, they had a number of members that were not able to do frontline duties for one reason or another, and they actually started up a unit like that at their detachment level.
So that's good.
And it gave the members, the officers, a feeling like they were back in the game.
Right, a sense of purpose.
Feeling good, and they were actually helping their colleagues, because a lot of times getting that evidence, you go off shift, you're sleeping when the person's available to give you that evidence, right? Okay. So they were able to kind of follow up on things like that. Yeah. get the video evidence. They made partnerships with the entire community, like the town and things like that. So they had access to their cameras as well to be able to search for things, because searching for things on cameras is a lot. You need to know the timestamp, and it's very time consuming. So certainly it's a great opportunity for somebody that for whatever
has physical
reason,
injuries, let's say,
physical, mental injuries. That just aren't in a position to be frontline. They can actually do things like that.
And
so that's a huge change from 1990 when I started.
It's good to hear. And in terms of misconceptions, do you think the public often, like in terms of like what misconceptions do you think the public often has about police officers and their work?
Well, traditionally, media, they're looking for a hook, right? Yeah. They're looking for something that's controversial, negative, and that often shines a bad light on policing.
Yeah.
There obviously is, in any career, there are people that are not as ethical as others.
Yeah.
And so that needs to be kept in check. I think for the most part, it is kept in check. And the fact that a lot of the bad thing goes out on the media waves everywhere, it kind of taints a lot of people's perception. But I think there's a silent majority out there, and I'd say it's over 80%, that are very supportive of what the police do every day. They just don't go out and say it.
Yeah.
So as a police officer yourself, when you hear all that negativity, it can get to you.
Yeah.
So I think you have to really keep perspective that there are 80% of the people plus out there that are supporting you, and it's just not being heard.
Right. This has always interested me to figure out whether or not, like, and if you can't answer this, I completely understand, but like if you're, say, vacationing in Mexico, and it isn't the police in Mexico, I don't know, sometimes it's just like if you give them a certain amount of money that they're looking for, they just let you go if you were to go a little bit over the limit in terms of speeding. So if that happens to you, let's say, and you're in Mexico, is there some sort of hidden code that you guys have as police across the globe, that if you were to flash your badge or just say, hey, I'm Toronto Police from Canada, and you show something, that they would let you go? Can that happen?
Well, there's definitely a camaraderie amongst law enforcement worldwide. It all comes down to the individual situation.
Yeah.
The bottom line, if you're a police officer and you've committed or alleged to have committed a criminal offense, you're probably going to get arrested.
Right.
Like the rules aren't different for the police.
For police,
especially here in Canada.
Yeah.
There's a lot of accountability out there. Mm-hmm. But carrying a badge is a privilege.
Yeah, absolutely.
And most police officers, they acknowledge that it's a privilege, and they're there is some professional courtesy that's given, and that would you just as soon as you're on the phone with somebody and you say you're a police officer, sometimes the tone of the conversation changes. Things like that. So
what's an example of, say, a crooked cop? Like, people hear that term all the time, or what is it that a crooked cop may be out for? What's the leverage to them being crooked? What's an example of someone being crooked?
I would say there's a number of examples, unfortunately, but just greed.
Greed is most of it.
Yeah, greed.
It comes down to the mighty dollar, or whatever.
Taking advantage of your position. Like, you just can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard of that in like countries like Mexico or wherever it is. And I mean, it's sad that exists, but greed, I would imagine, is for sure the number one reason. Now, in terms of life after service, it is your retirement. How has retirement shifted your identity after 3 decades behind the badge?
Well, I've come to realize everybody sees me as a cop.
Yeah, that's just it. In the family, you're just like, yeah, there's Scott the cop.
It doesn't matter where I go, what I do, I'm seen as a cop. So I've just embraced it.
Yeah.
A lot of times, especially when I was retiring, I'm like, oh, get away from this. You never get away from it.
Yeah.
You've been a cop in law enforcement now for over 35 years. It's a part of you, whether you want it to be or not. And you know, I am proud of my service. I'm proud of my colleagues. And I'm willing to help law enforcement out any way I can.
Yeah, yeah. And looking back, what would you say you're most proud of your career?
I think I'm most proud of the work my colleagues have done. Oftentimes, just tireless work that's not seen. I'm proud of all the work they've done personally. I'm really proud about the youth engagement stuff. I'm really proud to be graffiti BMX cop.
That guy.
That guy, you know, who's that guy? What does graffiti BMX cop mean? Because that's my online name, right?
Yeah,
so I'm never giving up that because I think it says so much about what I tried to do and what needs to be done.
That's what I was going to ask you next was what you hope your legacy is, and then you want to be known for that mostly, and also protecting and serving, and I would imagine. But let's say both in the communities you served, because it was Peel Region and Toronto, and among your colleagues, what would you what do you hope your legacy is beyond the graffiti BMX?
Social media, internet, law enforcement, using social media for good. And law, you know, we piloted a program in Toronto Police for social media, internet, and law enforcement, where we empowered other officers to do kind of what myself and a few others were doing, which was being a cop online and just celebrating what you do every day online. And creating that trust and transparency that ultimately results in information coming to your ears where you can actually save somebody's life many times. So if I go down in the chat GBT bots as the social media, internet, law enforcement guy, I'm happy with that.
That's good. You had mentioned earlier about how you would, if you know, there's a police officer listening or someone thinking of getting into law enforcement, that you would recommend getting a good therapist ahead of time before, you know, throwing yourself into the profession. And I think that is truly important. And I'm just wondering if is that your stamp of advice fully, or is there anything else in last words you'd like to share with, let's say, new recruits entering policing today that you would give in terms of advice?
For new recruits, just work hard. Treat the public as your family. And look after yourself. That's the three things.
And I would imagine the studying, though, there's got to be a lot of written exams to become police too. It's like there's physical tests and the written exams, right?
There's a lot of written. There's a lot of laws to know. You're enforcing the law, so you need to know the law. So there's definitely an academic portion. There's definitely a physical fitness portion. It's really important to maintain your physical fitness. Eating well, proper diet, proper sleep. Sleep is so huge. It's really hard to do when you're on shift work. You and I were talking before about Major League Baseball, and we have our passion is baseball. We share together. But I know in the clubhouses there, they take care of their major leaguers like there's no tomorrow. Like, you know, there's food spreads everywhere, and they're all nutritious and healthy to make sure that the players are all following the regimented diet to play well, to be a good human. And do you think they do the same thing or did they do the same thing for you? Where there's spreads of food after a difficult call? I would hope so, because you guys deserve it. Timbits and coffee.
What? Maybe. No, come on. We got to change that. That's something we got to work towards. Listen, Scott Mills, thank thank you so much for doing this today. I really, really appreciate your time and just your honesty and vulnerability. It shines through, and vulnerability is strength. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Rob.
Yeah,
appreciate all you do for the community.
I appreciate that too. This has been Awareness, episode number 23, brought to you by Vox Mental Health. Yours truly, Rob Daniels here. And thank you so much wherever you get your podcasts, for watching, for listening. For producer Mike, my name is Rob Daniels, and we'll see you in the next episode.